All right, hi guys. Mom and Dad wanted me to make a video of this monstrosity I got set up here. It is a molder, and kind of give you an idea what this thing does is, and you can make shiplap. What I'm doing today with it is these rough sawed 2x6s. After I run her through, you put your board up here, and then it starts hitting on this bottom head right here. This is a helical head, and then there's this is the right side. And there's a little tension, there's a hold tension on that board all the way through, and then this pulls the board through too. And this here would be the left side. And then there's two heads. There's a top head, and then there's a bottom head. Well, there's actually two top heads, and then there's another bottom head right here. You kind of see how I got the little kerf in here, so that way it rounds the corners off. I think they call that a tersa head because it's got the, like, that's the knife right here, and then you put your contour in, like if you wanted to round it or if you wanted to 45 it or whatever. And then naturally these little blocks here hold tension on it too, and then these rollers turn. This thing's kind of noisy, so I wanted to kind of give you an overview. This is to bump that through. If you might see that wheel move, as far as like it's got 2 speeds, so that's the slow speed. You see them things go through. So as you're setting the thing up, you might see that bottom one too. I don't know if you can see that or not, but as you're setting that thing up, and then I could turn it on. That'll keep feeding it through all the way. So these bottom ones here are turning, pulling that board through. This one's turning, pulling the board through after that head. And then these are smooth rollers, so that way you don't mar the board. So as it's pulling through the last, this after the last head here, it don't make marks on the board, like for siding or something like that. Maybe you don't want these little teeth marks in your board. So that's like a setup one, and then this is like you flip that over for the full speed. Naturally, you can see it's going a little bit faster. Piece of bark on that one. And then air goes to this, and what happens is each one of them rollers has like a little air cylinder. You see these little air cylinders, and it pivots, and it keeps tension on that board. So say you have something a little bit bigger, or you got a big knot or something like that, it don't bind it up, it'll just shove that up, but it keeps constant tension on it. Even these got, you know, they got little tensions on them. They keep tension on the board. So each one of them got an air cylinder to them too. So this has got an air cylinder, and you can see these ones here have little air cylinders on them. And even these have to where it'll go up and down. You know what I mean? It keeps tension on them. And then the other part of the tension is, and I don't know if you can see it back in here. Open this up. Usually in front of each one of these heads, they call these chip breakers. these plates here, and they have air tension on them. And when that board comes through, as that's cutting, naturally you'd want to splinter out. Well, that keeps tension on it, so that way it'll only splinter to here. That way it don't splinter all the way up the board or something like that. But this is that top head. And this is a tersa head too, so it's got teeth in it. And then you can see the contour in it right there for your rounding the corners over. Kind of give you an idea there. And then each one of these got a suction hose going to each head. And I know it looks like an octopus. This is something I kind of lashed up, so it's probably not supposed to look that bad, but it works. And then that sucks the chips up and blows it outside. So it's really a heck of a machine. Got it off a guy down south. It's used. It's an older machine. The newer one's got like a digital readout thing here, and it tells you the feed and speed, and you can adjust the heads in and out right from the screen. So this one here is not like that. It's an older one. And to adjust like this head up and down, there's little cranks here. You see these little cranks, like there's a crank, there's a crank. So this one, as you can see, adjusts the head up or out, sorry about that, in and out. If you turn it this way, it's heading out, and the same thing. So you got to kind of toy with it, and I think that's kind of why they got this kind of low speed through here. Like you can kind of jog it through and kind of set your head to where you kind of need it, if that makes any sense, where it's going to touch, and how much you want to take off, and all that happy stuff. So then you got this bar here. This will actually adjust, like if you got a pretty good warp in your board, this plate will adjust in and out with this arm. Right now I got it set at 3/16, so to compensate for a little bit of warpage. So that's going to let that first head take off 3/16 on the right side. And then this one here actually brings this table down and up. So if you wanted to bring it down, and right now I've got it probably taken off, I'm going to say 1/8 of an inch. So this first board right here on the bottom, when it comes across, it's going to take off an eighth of an inch on this head, and then hit your table again. And it kind of goes right through. I mean, if you stop and think about it, it's pretty slick system. It worked for them for a long time. The guy that had it, and they put a new digital one in, so I naturally got a pretty good deal on this one. And you can also adjust this feed rate through this wheel. So as that's on, you can actually turn this up to where you can cut the feet per minute. You can cut up to, I mean, not that you'd ever want to be that fast because it's moving along pretty good, but 100 feet per minute. So if you was really wanting to bust out some stuff, which really all I'm doing is building material, it probably ain't gonna have that nice a finish. Naturally, the slower you go, the nicer the finish, just like a planer at your house. So it all works out good. If you want to go faster or slower, you can turn this down. Even with your two speeds here, you can have it go faster or slower or whatever. So that's kind of the gist of it. This machine can't do huge pieces. It's 9.5 on the bottom and up to 5 inches on the sides. So 9.5 by 5 if you wanted to do a huge beam or something like that. But with the proper knives, you could do like D-logs and stuff like that for log homes with it. So you put a 4x6 in there. That's why you would have to have two top heads. That to make that D-log profile, you'd probably have to take a bunch of your meat off of this with this one. and then your next head would be kind of a finishing head, I guess you want to say. So this would be like the hogging head, and this would be like the, you know, to kind of put the finishing touches on it. So anyways, it's oh, one other thing, if you wanted to, like, say you did get something stuck or something bad, this whole table, if you watch that, see how it goes up and down? So that takes your feed rollers, and all this whole thing goes up out of the way, so that way you can pull things out of it. But the machine's not all that noisy. I'll kick some heads on, like we'll put this bottom head on. That's the top and bottom head, so it ain't too bad. This thing here is very noisy, the suction part of it, and naturally I got an old air compressor and out of the shop down there, and it's kind of got a knock to it, but it still works to make air for them air dogs. So I'm gonna kick everything on, because you probably won't be able to hear me talk after I kick everything on, and run some boards through so you guys can see. Mom and Dad really want to see this thing in operation. They haven't seen it yet, other than just seeing the machine, but not watching her go. And I got some friends. It's, you know, naturally some of you guys that are on my channel, I guess, want to see this thing in operation, and it's pretty neat. And there's different heads I could put. Right now, like I said, I'm spanking these rough cut 2x6s straight, and they've been sitting around for about 2 years. I don't have a kiln, so I just got them under 10 naturally, you know what I mean? So they're air dried. But pine's pretty forgiving as far as, like, it dries pretty good. Oak's a little bit more different. So some of it moved quite a bit. That board I got propped up there, that thing's probably about 3 inches out, so I'll probably end up using it for blocking or something like that. But most of the stuff cut up, my first pallet cut up pretty nice. I mean, some of it's got some bark on it stuff, but you can cut that little piece off and still use it. Anyway, for what I'm doing with it, I'm more worried about it being straight than I am being having a little bit of bark and stuff on it. So I will get this thing fired up and show you what you do, Mom, Dad, and the rest of y'all. Give me a little bit. Okay, our air's up. We'll start kicking this thing on. Now, naturally, it's kind of noisy, so probably ain't gonna hear nothing. So I'll run a couple boards through and show you some video, and then get right back at you here. So I'm gonna kick my blower unit on. stopped up. Well, you guys kind of get the idea. Naturally, after it goes through, I now end up with a 2x6. And it planes all four corners. Round them edges off real nice. And then they're also nice and straight because they kind of took that bow out. So now they're nice straight 2x6s. So instead of being kind of rough sawed and that type thing, it's a little bit noisy, but it does a good job. I'll send this over to you guys. And if you have any questions, just let me know. See you later.